John, thanks for joining us. We were really glad to accept your invite to come and meet with you before you head off to sunnier climes than Starts Park. We're here in the midst of lockdown. We've got our social distancing, we're obviously outside, we've got our protective gear all sorted out behind the camera. There's a very specific reason for you asking to meet up, and that was about having an opportunity to speak directly to the Raith Rovers fans. I'd like to start with that point. Myself and Neil are going to bounce some other questions round about your kind of long and illustrious career with Raith Rovers, but where do you want to start? What would you like to say to the Raith Rovers fans who are tuning in?
Just obviously I look back in my time with Raith Rovers, and during the 3 spells I've been here, it's 3.5 seasons, nearly 4 seasons, and it all started 10 years ago, and it's surprising how quick it's went. But what I would say is, I was a Celtic fan growing up and all that. I've never had for that, and I'm not going to be one of these guys that say, I'm a Raith Rovers fan. I was when I brought up and had the strip and stuff like that. I never. But when I first came here, I remember actually playing against Raith Rovers Baird, and just the way the club was, and the way I remember them coming off the bus, they were all smart and everything was done perfect, and obviously the stadium and the fans and stuff, and the manager, and I got the opportunity to actually come through Paul Smith, who I met when I was about 18-year-old actually at Stenhousemuir. I done alright for 6 months, and I went back to St Mirren at the time who I was with, and I never really kept in touch with Smudger as in like, on a regular basis and stuff, like what would be like, ever anything happen, because you never know how my career was going to go a bit. But he actually done alright with Montrose and stuff, and he kept in touch with us, and then the opportunity for Airdrie to come to Starts Park was something I couldn't knock back. But I'm obviously jumping the gun here a wee bit, but it was the 10 years, like when I wasn't a supporter obviously when I joined. It was more about where's my career going, and what to make a career for myself. And you do things that you regret during that, like after the first season, I asked to leave and stuff like that. Maybe wrongly advised as well. But then I went away. I'd done the 2 seasons and never got to leave, which looking back it was fine. At the time it was difficult because I felt I was getting an opportunity at the SPL. Then I got the opportunity to come back for the season, which led to the cup final. And what I would say is I'm a supporter now, because which obviously the period I've been involved in, but I'm not just a supporter. My family is, my parents, my wife, my kids. If you ask my wee boy what team do you support, he says Raith Rovers, and then it's Celtic. It might change, because I hope it's not. I hope he can actually see games and stuff like that online, which we can obviously do because we'll be abroad, but it's not just me, it's got a connection with Raith Rovers. The time I left the second time, my parents weren't too happy, to be perfectly honest. I don't regret leaving that time, because it was a situation that I felt should have got handled better with the management and stuff like that. It was nothing to do with Paul Smith, but because it was free at the time, but they should have got. But anyway, but we are a supporter now. The family, everybody connected with it. I can't go anywhere in the world. When I was in Australia there for 4 months in Melbourne, with somebody mentioning Raith Rovers to me about the goal, it's just one of those things. And I go to live my dream scoring against Rangers as a Celtic supporter in a cup final extra time, but it was because of Raith Rovers I can do that. So that's how I had that connection with Raith Rovers will always be there.
And just on cue, your family, who are very kindly keeping the distance here, of appeared in the South Stand with both your kids with a Raith Rovers kit on.
Aye, the wee boy wants to come on the pitch for the. He was actually asking if the players were going to be here today, because he likes being in the dressing room, and I says no, that's not allowed, but you'll get on the park.
This is something that I was really struck by, the excitement that was around for yourself when your third spell was muted, and we were talking back and forward, and it was the fact that it was Raith Rovers seemed to be such high motivation for you to come back here. I know that the connection you've got with Paul and John as well. What is it about a club like Raith Rovers? What can we learn about what we do well in terms of future players coming to make them feel that bit special and feel that connection? What is it that the club, the volunteers, the supporters offer?
I just think everybody knows everybody. There's nobody like come in and you don't know their first name. The players, everybody knows the players, they talk away. There's that many people, very volunteers, that you don't really get any other clubs. So it's the same people that come every week, obviously, the same numbers. We'd love to get the crowds bigger. And when we were challenging for the SPL, to get in the SPL, it was bigger. But it's just got a community feel to it that, well, I've never felt comfortable because I want to prove myself, but what I can say is my family, I've always come in and felt comfortable. There's never been any, some of the abuse you get for supporters, away fans, that's by the by, but your own supporters, I've been at clubs that have been to a stage and like my wife and my mum have had to leave at half time and stuff like that, so that's never, everybody, just been happy here. It's just, I think when you look, I'm still close with Gregory Taddy, Big Simmy got a few pelters to be fair, but he did wind it up, he enjoyed getting, he would rather get pelters after home fans than away fans, but no, I can't, I'm trying to figure out what it is, I don't know. I honestly don't know.
It's maybe good that it's an ingredient that we can't quite put our finger on. So we're going to do something a wee bit different with the interview. There's myself, obviously, Gary Davey, the mic just now, and Neil's going to join us just shortly. Just going through game by game, we've done that so many times. You and I have been talking for over a decade now, and we can maybe share one or two stories about that along the way as well. Your full career as a Raith Rovers player, that we've been an hour and a half on a podcast with you, and we'll no doubt get a chance to do that in the future. But we're going to be a bit more limited at time, so we've pulled a wee rabbit for the hat, and we're going to do something a bit different. We've got a couple of surprises for you as well. One thing we're going to do towards the end of the interview, which I think fans will be interested to hear, is that we've asked John to pick his Rovers dream team from the players that he's played with, so you can get the phone out and talk us through that. Some interesting selections. Neil, I'm going to bring you in and hand the mic over, because what John doesn't know is we've got some questions for him from his former teammates. So you want to take the lead?
Cheers. Thanks, Davey. So as Davey said there, John, a number of questions from former teammates and from a notable manager from your career. Some you've mentioned already, so we'll do the players' questions later on. But the first question is from John McGlynn himself, on behalf of him and Smudger. He's asked, what have been the differences, if any, between the 3 times you've played for Raith Rovers in terms of the approach, the personnel, the tactics or whatever?
The biggest compliment I could say, especially about the manager and Paul Smith, is how people go talk about managers and they go, he's a dinosaur, he's this, he's that. There'll be people probably like that about the manager coming back after 10 years. Well, it'll be 8 years when he left. Why are they bring somebody back, maybe he's older and the rest of it. When I was here, the difference, you'll see it yourself, the supporters will see the style of play, the way the manager's evolved. The team is going to be, obviously he's majorly was involved with Brendan Rodgers, and then he's been at Celtic for about 5 years or something. So the experience he's had travelling all around Europe, all the rest of it, I think the difference is definitely the style of play. Football's changed, but the credit to Paul Smith and especially the manager is they've totally changed it. Like when I look at the team now, I would say it was totally more skillful, more expansive, technically better players, whereas the team a decade ago, well, it was men. You had Mark Campbell, you had Grant Murray, Stephen Simpson, obviously Davo's still here, but you see how much, a very underrated player in my opinion, in Davo, you see how much he's changed. So if you look at the manager, they had, like, Davo's played in that system, but then he can actually train Davo or coach Davo into being a different player. I would say he's definitely moved for the times. It's not for me to say the one, because I'm getting asked this question, I don't judge a manager like that, but I was very surprised last season when I was at Forfar, because I done a team talk before the game as I was assistant manager, saying, look, I know the way John McGlynn's team will play, it'll be this, it'll be that, and then after about 10 minutes I was like, I had to come in at half time. I went, lads, I got that totally wrong. I says, Regan Hendry's dropping off, which we never done. Your 2 centre halves are splitting, it was just totally different. I would say the way it's evolved is definitely with the times, definitely.
Thanks for that. Yeah, great, yeah. Back to Davey.
So let's look back. We're doing a wee bit of kind of research through the stats, and I'm really grateful to the club historian Phil Nicholson He's looked back. A wee bit of debate over Marvin's career, whether it actually counts as 3 times he's been with us or 2, because it travels over into the 2009 season. But we reckon that, for a fact, you're only one of 3 players who's came back on 3 occasions to play for Raith Rovers. This is a club where, you know, you can do the maths, 137 years, something like that, of history. So Laurie Ellis, Sean Dennis and John Baird, we've got a wee question mark that people tuning in can keep us right on the Marvin Andrews question. So even at that, it would be one of 4 over 137 years. Quite remarkable.
It's good names to be involved in with the club. Obviously it's three legends at the club over these spells, and they were obviously good players as well. 3 defenders, I may add.
What about your first spell? That's the season that we kind of define as kind of what could have been. What jumps into your mind when you look back on you know, there was the big game along at East End that we didn't manage to come out in top way, but I mean that ending could have overshadowed what was a fantastic season.
I remember going through that season, and people that are older players that I've played with, actually it was a player that's played here before, Andy Mullen. He was my assistant manager at St Mirren, and I remember him saying to me about enjoy yourself, this doesn't come along much and stuff like that, and it was just the best season. But actually I thought that could happen. I genuinely, when I signed the pre-contract to come, I looked at the squad and I went, they just need goals. I seen the way everything about them, I was like, we can definitely challenge next year. But going to join the team, obviously going to the semi-final of the Scottish, the club was just going places. It's the way it's going now. It's the exact same. We've got to a cup final. I just felt the first year it was gutting, absolutely gutting. I felt we deserved it, but the manager, in my opinion, never got the backing in January, and it just, the last quarter we were done, shattered. And you look at the points total, they signed 3 players through a spine of their team. Now, I'm not saying Kevin Rutrovic, Martin Hardy, who ended up scoring 2 goals that day, and Liam Buchanan, striker. Now, we were lucky to fill the bench at times. How we were doing what we're doing was, I think we still deserve to win the league, because what happened to them Fairland 18 months later, when they're struggling to pay players and all that, they obviously weren't being able to afford what they'd done. Our club stuck to the structure, and we fell short. They took the gamble. We signed Kevin McBride, good player for Hibs, manager going for free. Signed Gary Wales, manager going for free. I actually think it was free in wages, to be perfectly honest. So we just never got the tools to take it on, and where we went was absolutely brilliant.
And unlucky at the time as well, given that it was one team up, no playoff.
We never even got a second bite at it, did we? We were actually 1-0 up at half time at East End Park, and we've not really played well. Then Tad missed a chance, missed a sitter. But to lose 2 goals for a set piece, is a free kick in the corner. That's the one that got away, definitely.
You want to lean in with one of the former players? We'll kind of throw the mic back and forward. Might be Mr. Taddy gets a mention there. I know our interview skills are nowhere near as good as his, so we'll do our best here, Neil.
Exactly, yeah. So as Davey said there, you mentioned Gregory Taddy. I mean, talking about him is another 1 hour interview in itself. Playing with him and the things that he's achieved in football. But I approached him for a question as your former your first strike partner here, and Mr. Taddy came back with, what's the best game that you and I played together at the Rovers, and what was the worst? Because we all remember, fans remember the best ones, but what's your opinion of your best and worst striking displays?
Me and him in the same team.
For the Rovers, yeah.
Big Tad's never scored this game, but we won 4-0. Was it 4-0? 4-0. First game of the season against Partick Thistle, I got a hat-trick, my home league debut. Mark Ferry, who was brilliant that season, absolutely brilliant. He was very unlucky not to get in the top 10, the top 11 team. That's the one that comes into mind. Tad scored, there's actually 2, because I've got to mention Taddy. We beat Dundee when they were on the run, the 22-21 points. Definitely get minus points, didn't they? And we beat them that day to beat their record. Tad scored against Rab Douglas, and then Alan Walker scored in the last minute, so there was 2. That kept us top of the league and all. It's unbelievable that season. But the worst. Alloa. Oh, Tad's never started that game. It was a Scottish Cup. It was me and Graham Muir. You get beat. The worst. There wasn't many bad ones. That's a great question. He was bad for about 15, 20 of them games, weren't you? Cowden Beath, maybe. No, but I can't. Did you know what? It was a game we never won. 2-1 away to Dunfermline. That was it, man.
I suppose it's a sign of a great partnership that you struggled to remember the bad games.
Well, see, when we weren't playing well, the two of us worked that hard. It didn't matter. It actually covered up a multitude of sins. Like, the other team never got an opportunity to start to play in it just because of being me and Taddy working. It worked. It did. We were the total opposite of players. Total opposite. I like coming short, like to play up. He just wanted to run, and she's hunger and enthusiasm to be a footballer. See if players had a touch in it, you can make yourself very rich people with better ability than Tad's, and I say that in the biggest compliment I can about him.
Great, thanks for that.
So life kind of moves on, and you've touched on a lot of that earlier on, but you come back for the second spell. I know that Grant Murray's somebody that, like ourselves, you've got huge respect for, but Grant makes the journey between being a player, centre half, that you know and respect to the manager. What was it like working under Grant, and how did things change between his persona on the pitch and as a manager?
Nothing really. Like he's Baird. You know, I know him as Baird because I was a player under him. Obviously, he was my gaffer for 4 or 5 months, but he was quiet, very quiet, but demanding on the park. As in the dressing room, he wasn't a ranter and raver. You wouldn't hear him shouting and stuff like that, but he led by example, as in his actions, the way he looked after himself and the way he trained. Was he 36, 37, I think, when I started playing him? Signed a 2-year deal at 37, 36-year-old. Club gave him a 2-year deal. Now, it wasn't like he deserved it. He totally deserved it. Getting into management, I thought it was actually quite quiet. But we had good boys in the dressing room and all, Jason Thompson and stuff like that at the time. Bert's, anybody that knows Bert, it's just Bert. He just gets on with his job. That's it. But he's good at it.
And he gave you the nod for the cup final?
He did. Probably scared not to. No. I remember Grant Murray said something. That was in the shower, right? And this was when I was a player, and Bert was kind of coming. It was his second season, and they said, if you were a manager, who would you sign out this team? It was Alan Walker that asked him. It's just silly wee things. It's a compliment. He was like, sign Baird in a minute. Scores goals. And I was like, would you know sign me? He says, no, you can't run. And that was it. That was Baird, his dry sense of humour. That was his. So when he obviously had the chance to sign me, and then the cup final ends up the cup final, didn't it?
Now, do you want to jump in? Because obviously we've got to ask the cup final questions, but go tell us about one of the.
Yeah, so jumping forward a wee bit from what you were just, or going back, sorry, from what you were just talking about there in the cup final. Another one of your notable strike partners, Big Brian Graham, who we were all pleased to see at the semi-final through in Firhill. He asked a good question, and it's about. It looks back to that sort of synergy that you had with him. It was a similar partner, or like your partnership with Taddy. It worked very well. But Brian said, he said, "There's a game away at Hamilton that we played." You know what's coming, yeah. Two of us having a right go at each other, saying we were going to fight each other in the dressing room at half time. 2 minutes later, I played a 1-2 with him. Then I crossed the ball, he scored a header, and we were best mates after that. Now, is that another sign of how, no matter how things are going on the pitch, you dug in to get the result, the goal, and you never looked back after that?
No, that probably just typifies Everton, really. The way he is as a person and the way Marcelo is, because anybody that watches on the park, he's a money get and I'm a money get, but it generally stays on the park. It doesn't matter. Honestly, you don't spend enough time with players after the park to have a relationship with them. It's your colleagues, it's your workmates. It's like say you've got a 40-hour week job, that's different. You spend the most of your life in them, but no, in football, it's a totally... You're trying to succeed to win a game, so you've got to do anything you can to win a game, and Brian would do anything to win a game, and so would I, and it never came to blows, actually. It was close to blows at times, but we're actually best pals. We go on holiday with each other twice in the summer. As soon as the season finishes on a Saturday, me and him are on a flight on a Sunday with my pals. He comes with my mates, squad about 10 years, and then we come back, and then we go with the wife and the kids. So, but he talks about that all the time, and we've had a few drinks and that, and there's a couple of other things obviously that's happened with me and Big Brian, but I will miss him.
Did you have a wee word with him at the semi-final at Firhill?
Aye, I just said to him I felt you were the second best player in the park that night. He was like, mate, I says, aye, I was the first, you were the second. But look, it's amazing for Raith. Top of the league, we've been top of the league 21 weeks out of 28, totally deserve it. But on the other hand, my big mate's been dealt, he's left the Premier League in January for circumstances, had to get down the road for his family, help out on our side of his family and stuff, and obviously what's happened, but I'm sure he'll bounce back. He's a good player. 45
goals you scored for Raith Rovers, but there's always one that this out will follow you like a shadow through the rest of your life. As we get deep into injury time, looking towards another penalty shootout against an Old Firm team is what we were thinking as fans. Tell us about that goal. We never ever tire of hearing you talk us through it. I know that Greg Spence thinks he should have got the goal, but I think he might well have tucked it away. We had a good eye for goal, Greg, but how do you put that into words? All these years later, have you managed to do that in some kind of cohesive way?
No, I actually thought I hit it with my laces. See, till I watched it on YouTube that night or the next day. It probably would have been the next day because we were in the Connells to Oils. I actually thought I hit it with my laces, but I've side-footed it. It's a better finish than I actually thought as well. I'm quite proud of it. But the feeling after that is something that the adrenaline rush. See, going to win the league, I got it with St Mirren, I wasn't really much involved in it, but the adrenaline rush, people go about medals, trophies and all that other stuff. For me, it's the total adrenaline. I really love the adrenaline of winning games, and being able to be involved in that, see the build up to it, going up to a cup final, that was, for the players at our level, that was us at Hampden in a Scottish Cup, that was against one of Old Firm. It was, they actually thought they expected to win that. I remember I'm not going to mention the player, he said to me before the game, this is us, big game, this is what we've been playing all the lesser clubs, and he never said it in a nicer way, he said it quite derogatory, and we'll just turn up and win the game. And I watch it all the time, they go all the time, my wee boy watches it consistently. I think it's like there's a 10-minute clip, he watches the full game, and he goes, Dad, why are you trying to take your head off? But I honestly felt that I could have ripped my head off when I scored that goal, and I always dreamt about running round the back of the goal at Hampden and running to the fans. But my family was sitting at that side, so I've ran round the goal away from them. I was that excited instead of going that way. But I've always had in my mind, it's a dream. All I can say, it's a dream, absolute dream.
It's interesting you mentioned the celebration, because when we look at the celebration, I've looked at these pictures a lot, and you were kind enough to sign quite a lot of these pictures for our volunteers last season to thank them. But it does look like you're having an out-of-body experience.
It was the best. I'm going to be still playing when I go over there, but to the standard I'm playing it here, that is you play for like 5, 6, 7-year-old. You're watching Scottish Cups every Saturday, you see the build up in the telly. It used to be the build up for about 6, 7 years. And I remember I saw you run about the park, and I've had the opportunity because of this football club to do that. So when I finish, like mention people asking me all the time, when I actually stop, there's something to be remembered for. If you're part of any sort of job or anything, you always want to be remembered, because it means you've just floated in, floated out. If you're good at your job, I'm a painter now. By the way, get John Baird up to paint. He's a good painter. You're remembered for being a painter. That's what you want to leave a mark, whatever it is you're involved in. And to be able to do that with football, it's quite emotional, to be honest.
I remember the build-up to the cup final. There did seem to be a real air of confidence amongst all of you. I think the Wednesday before the final, where you're up at your training with a wee walk round and up at Glenrothes at Michael Woods, and there seemed to be a belief that you not only could but possibly would pull off that victory.
I just thought when looking at our team physically, we could match them in areas that they were like Lee Wallace, but Grant Anderson, another underrated player for me, could match him physically up and down the pitch, which he done. Jason Thompson obviously down Lee Wallace's side as well. He was a big part of Rangers' play at that time. And then the rest of them, Washney, you could get a chance off him. I didn't think Liam McCulloch was a centre half, so there's got to be chances. I felt there would be chances, but there wasn't. We never really played that well in the game. The first half I thought we were shocking. I remember coming off the game saying, but because you're on telly, everybody's watching, big crowd. It probably been the biggest actual event that was aired that weekend out of Scotland anyway. And it was, I just remember the manager saying, that's the best Rangers I've got. What we're going to be like in the second half, we did do a lot better, but we never really, they had a couple of chances, the set pieces and stuff like that, but they never really cut us open anyway, and obviously we get the opportunity. Spenny will be obviously gutted. I would be gutted if it was him, but it was like, I suppose when you look at Michael Owen in the World Cup, Scholes just tried to hit it and he's like, no, out the road. See if you want it. Strikers have got to have a wee selfishness, ruthlessness about them, and I would rather be the one that missed it than no take the hit.
John, looking again back to that cup final, for me and for most Rovers fans, apart from yourself scoring the goal, our man of the match on the day was Dougie Hill, a player that sometimes gets overlooked amongst supporters as key players. You know, maybe it was because of the club he signed from, the club he went to after, or whatever. But he had a two-part question for you. And I think we know what your answer is going to be on the first question. His first question was, who is your favourite strike partner? Not the best player, but the one that got the best out of your game. So yeah, answer that one for us.
Probably Taddy. Right. It's got to be, because Brian was injured for 3 months of the season we played together, and I think me leaving Raith Rovers probably helped Brian. I did help Brian to actually be the main striker, go and get his goals. Ended up scoring 26, 27 goals the following year. So I think he was better. Brian was probably better without me in the team, and me and Taddy just worked as a better strike partnership.
Something you've alluded to as well in your previous answers about how, you know, interacting with your strike partners and your teammates. Dougie's second question is, why are you so angry? Is it wee man syndrome, and is that a real thing?
It probably is a real thing. Me and Dougie had some ding dong. See, I actually don't fight when I argue with people off the football park. I'm quite relaxed, chilled out. Normally, you've probably seen me about it, but something just changes. Because Dougie would knock me about the place, but when you get angry, the red mist. Had a few ding dongs with Dougie just because he wouldn't pass me the ball really. But it is a wee man syndrome. Dougie, he's a very underrated player. See, he broke his ankle in a reserve game here. The year we were flying, the first season Dougie had a few injuries, but I remember playing Dougie in pre-season. He just signed with Raith the year before the semi-final of the Scottish Cup, and I was like, who's this guy? I was playing against him because he came from Cowdenbeath, didn't he? Right. And I never played against him, and I was like, who is this guy? He was quick, left-sided, and you get a tackle. He won the ball, he done you as well, but he actually stood at the top of you and gave you a grill. I was like, I'm not playing against him again. I would just move out to somebody else. No, Dougie, good boy, man.
That's a question with a bit of anger in it, because I think the most famous picture of Dougie Hill, it shows a wee bit that he's got that up his sleeve as well. So John, we mentioned earlier in the interview that for us kind of looking in for kind of as close as you can get to Raith Rovers as a club, you had a real excitement about the possibility of coming back for a third opportunity. You know, you were following the team on RaithTV, you were logging in, watching the matches live while you were over in Australia. Did that opportunity come as a real surprise to you? Was it the gaffer that brought you back? Was it the love of the club? What was it that fired you up so much? Because again, for us as fans, being a wee bit part of that, it was great to see that you were so desperate to be involved.
Well, I mean, over at Australia, it's a bit of a long story. I wasn't sure if I was going to be staying, and then the visa would be sorted and then they would come over. But it soon, well, after about 2 months, it soon came apparent I would have to come back and then come over. So my season in Australia finished in September. I was like, well, we felt it was only going to be to January. I was like, I'm not going to get. I was like, am I going to play? Did I go back? And I went, no, what? I would rather. I said, it was like the wife on the phone. But amazing if I could go to. I'm lucky it happened, but I'll contact him. I'll contact John, the gaffer, see if he'd be interested in taking us back. And I was looking at the goals, I was looking at the squad, and I'm going, they've all got young strikers. Obviously, Big Ziggy was flying, but he was young. Lewis Allen, young, and Granty was playing up front as well. But he might need a striker. Gaffer, you want me to come up and annoy you to January? And he says, I'll speak to the board and then get back to us in 24 hours, and that was it. I says, look, you've got my word, I'll be there to January. If I'll not go anywhere else, if I can stay at the end of the season, we'll just let it roll and we'll go to the end of the season, and that was it. It wasn't any there's nothing about it. It was just cut of messages on the WhatsApp, and that was it. Aye, right, fine. And he took my word and I took his word that we would just get it done, and that was it.
The style of play and the makeup, the physical stature of the players, a lot's changed across your decade here. Tell us about the team that you played with that ultimately has won the league this year, but also you had to play a different role in terms of coming off the bench, giving us 70 minutes, etc. But how do you reflect in your time with us?
I wasn't, in the first game I wasn't as fit. I thought the game in Australia was slower, a lot slower, obviously because of weather conditions. And I wasn't up to speed, and when I came into training we done a running thing across the 18-yard box, and I wasn't anywhere near the way I used to be, which was, you get embarrassed about it, but I was like, but I'd done every run, and then we done the training and that, and I was like, cause I was expecting, because we got to be fair to Gaffer, we still do the same running stuff, because your fitness has got to be higher, but the training aspect here was totally different, but it was brilliant, it was excellent. Just a bit gutted that it's.
How does it feel to win a league in these circumstances? I mean, because you've got connections to Falkirk, you've got friends that are.
Aye, two of my pals are obviously the joint managers. As long as we, I don't want to sound too harsh because I do come across harsh at times, but I couldn't care. Just as long as we won it, it was more about. I want to win the league to get it up. The club needs to go to the championship, and you've got to be ruthless, and the rest doesn't matter. And
if we track back, last game we played, Forfar, and you got a goal there, so was a script written for you there again?
No, I always end up scoring against the teams I played for. I've been lucky enough to play for a lot of teams, but it's like Raith, I scored against Raith all the time, but it wasn't because I wanted to score against Raith. I actually genuinely wanted to prove to the supporters, whoever's in charge, the manager, that see if there is an opportunity one day that I can come back, that I'm good enough to play. Like when I scored, I think the best goal I ever scored in my career was probably Forfar, there into the top corner. But it was like, I want you to know I can still play. You saw me 10 years ago, I want you to think that I was good enough, and when I came back and I wasn't fit, in my opinion I wasn't fit. The manager never played me anyway for 4 or 5 weeks, so obviously he thought I wasn't fit. But I got fit, and I think I did prove that I was still the player I was. I got to a stage, the best I felt was Partick Thistle. The manager changed the tactics, and that just totally blew his tactics that day. And I'm all quite involved in it. I analyse games and all the stuff like that, and that blew my mind. I don't think Partick Thistle knew what they were doing. The commentary in Alba didn't know what they were doing, because the comments they were making during it was nowhere near what we were actually playing. It was brilliant. It blew my mind that night.
You made mention of playing under Grant Murray as a teammate and as a manager, but another one of your teammates at the time, who also went on to become the assistant manager here, Laurie Ellis, he was another one of the cult heroes among supporters. I mean, Rovers fans have got loads of time for Laurie Ellis because of his 3 spells at the club, the way he conducted himself. And it was only when he sent me the final question from former players that I twigged that you and he actually played together at St Mirren when you were both obviously much younger. And his questions, you know, it's typical Laurie. It's a very polite question. That's what some have said. Yeah. That's right, yeah. So he makes reference to the fact we go way back, further than people would think. Our dad used to sit together at Love Street watching you guys play for St Mirren. He talks about the great connection that you and he had. But the question is, what's your most memorable 30-minute journey home from training in his beautiful green Ford Escort?
Escort, everybody driving by. He used to drive at 45 mile an hour on the motorway. Now, I stayed in Glasgow about 5 minutes from Celtic Park, and he was the Gorbals at the time. He wants to call it the new Gorbals, it was still the Gorbals. And it would take us 30 minutes to get back from Paisley. I'd been better getting the train from Gilmerton Street into the town. But Laurie, I've actually packed, Laurie gave me golf clubs, Titleist golf clubs. That's how long ago, I was about 13, 14 years ago, and I can't get away from them. I've had them re-gripped about 3 or 4 times, and my clubs got packed yesterday, my container to go to Australia, and it was Laurie's clubs. Laurie used to take me home near enough 3-4 times a week, just off his own back, take us back to Glasgow. I wasn't a player at Raith at the time, at St Mirren. I was in training for 6 months with another club, and it was through Andy Mullen when I was at Clyde, and I wasn't getting paid. It was expenses. My mum paid for my train fare and my bus and all, and Laurie went, no, just leave it, I'll pick you up and take you home. And he drove out his way about 40 minutes, 20 there, 20 back every day. So there's a lot of people don't see things behind closed doors, they just see what happens on the park. There's a lot of nicer people in football than what people actually think. Because that's something I would do now because of what Laurie done to me.
So your spell here's obviously kind of came to the end with a premature end to the season. How do you look back across the three spells? What are the highs? I think we would know the obvious ones. You know, what's the club giving you, and what are the points that you've learned that you'll take forward into your life in Australia?
Firstly, probably quite proud of it, because if I never done well, we wouldn't be sitting here. Obviously there's been 3 spells that have been successful. I think the first year, obviously, everybody in the dressing room thought we could have done what we done, but I don't think anybody else did. We proved a lot of people wrong. Second season, we ended up 7th in the league, which I think come January, near the end of January, we signed 5 players on loan for Hearts. The club never would have been. We got 3 players for nothing. They were 18-year-old kids, and we ended up coming 7th. Jason Thompson, we actually got Jason Thompson, made a massive difference. I think the manager done a better job the second year than he did the first year because of the squad. We got rid of 11 players at the time, and then obviously the middle bit when we won the cup. But in that, I think 4 months, I scored something like 9 goals in 14 games. It's probably been my best goal record since I've been there, and then finishing what we did. But I've got 2 small regrets. Was the way I handled myself the first year. Obviously we had that interview. Badly advised a lot, but this is where I'm getting at, is you're not a supporter at this time. It's more about, right, how can my career, and I think people can see I was so blinkered, self-driven, because I've got no regrets. I can look in the mirror and go, I've tried everything to get, I know I never got anywhere near where the highs of these mega footballers, but I get the best out of what I had, like I could give. And at that time I was like, I need to get SPL, I need to get SPL. I felt this club should have got the SPL. The manager never got back, I was just angry and I never dealt with it properly. And then leaving for the Queen of the South, absolute madness. But that was just my stubbornness, because I felt like nobody spoke to us for like 3 or 4 weeks, but that doesn't matter. That was just the way I thought at that time. But when you become a supporter, I'm not saying I'm a full-scale Raith Rovers supporter. I'll be gutted if they end up they're not doing well. As long as they're doing well and they're alright, that's fine. But yeah, I suppose through the full thing, I've became a fan, and that, they 2 things annoy me about it. It's probably the wee grey areas that I looking back, being mature and older, that if the manager has me on the bench, I actually behave myself, that I would go and warm up and I would do things differently. I would come on and score a goal. I never scored, I hardly ever came on as a sub and scored a goal after I left Rovers. Hardly ever. And then obviously I've come on and scored it. That was the first time I've scored a goal as a sub. That's just me mentally, but the way I'm off was the Forfar game. It ended up the one that wins the league. Now it's about 4 or 5 years since I've scored a goal being a sub.
Neil, you any more former players, or will we want our dream team selection?
The dream team. There's got to be a few unhappy people. There must be over 150 odd players I've played with here.
Absolutely. Do you know how many games you played for Raith Rovers? How many goals you've scored?
You told me earlier 45.
131 games, that's including all competitions. 45 goals, many yellow cards.
Oh. 5?
Higher. Player cards right, higher. Aye. Double it. 10.
That must have been the second season we're fighting relegation.
Must have been an angry season, that.
That'll be Dougie Hull. That's Dougie Hull's season.
Aye, it must be rubbing off on you. Okay, you want to do it from memory, or you want to?
No, I've got the. Aye, cause I've got a few notes for it.
Did you have to put an ice pack on your thumb last night after you sent me that text? Because there's about 4,000 words to it.
I felt like people had to be given an opinion yet.
You certainly gave an opinion. As I sent you back, I think I've read shorter books.
There was the first one for me. No disrespect to any other goalkeepers that I've played with, but I played with Davy McGunn, when he was 29 at his peak, and if it wasn't for probably, like, he's not the tallest. The big goalies have got to be 6'2", 6'3" to play at a higher level. I think he would have been at a higher level. He was just, we had the best record. I think it was the end of January. That's a fact. We had the best record in Europe for goals against, and that was no short, no thing made into Davy McGunn. He was just, and he's a club legend, isn't he? He's the only guy I know gets a testimonial and isn't even at the club. He actually wasn't here, but he's brilliant. We'll move on. Fullbacks, Jason Thompson. The second year I was at the Rovers, Jason came on loan in January and made a difference. We were bottom of the league at the time, and he drove us forward. When Jason Thompson he came as about 26, 27 maybe. He was about the same age as me, and I've obviously played against him when he's at Arbroath. I think, see the way the clubs obviously went, see the way it is now with the hybrid and all that would get guys like Jason Thompson. I'm not saying we're going to send Jason Thompson, but you've got an opportunity to keep with guys at the club, because he is a club legend. He lifted a trophy, but see, he's like the second captain ever to lift a club trophy, and he can still do it at a top league. This one it's a joint. It's not normally I sit in the fence, but Willie Dyer's a really close mate with me, and he was, in my opinion, he could have went and played higher, but he just didn't believe in. He was a good player. He always felt that he wasn't good enough, but he was a cracking player, and we got him at a good time. For 2 years he was excellent. But you've got the other one, Keir McDonald, who, if he, again, the two of them are different, because Macca's got a confidence about him, and he's quite talkative, and he's got a mouth in him, which I like. But if he applies himself the way he should, he could go and play any level he wants to. It's up to him, but you've got to put your application into it. Centre halves, Grant Murray, I think that speaks for itself. He led by example, very professional, and obviously get the opportunity of working under him. And then one that Davo, he first come to Raith Rovers. I've played with Davo for 4 seasons in it. Obviously the 2 years of Dispel at Dundee together. Very underrated player. Very, very underrated player, and I think because you actually see the way he's changed to the times as well, went centre half. I tell people he was a centre mid, he could go box to box, and he was excellent, he was really excellent. I hope he gets the testimonial that he deserves, because he'll probably end up suspended for his testimonial, mind you. That's someone, he just goes, doesn't he? But he's a top player. I've got a lot of time for Davo. We've never been close mates, as you know, on the phone, but we just had a mutual respect, and probably never really said. I think I've told him he's rubbish. I've never probably told him he was good. The midfield, I'm going to do a midfield three. Big Simmy, Stephen Sims, very underrated. I think if you asked John McGlynn about him, he would probably give you a better opinion. Simmy was just chilled out. He was shouting ball and that, but he was too good really for us. He was too good at that time. Alan Walker had 2 great seasons. His best seasons he's probably had when he was under John McGlynn. John McGlynn would be on him all the time. His weight, etc., his fitness, and that got lost. And then number 8, I'm going to put Regan Hendry in. And I'm going to be honest with you, I wasn't. See, when I first saw Regan and I played with him, I thought he would just always play to a level. I've said this to the manager. See if we played, no disrespect, played Sunra, Regan will just do enough to be above Sunra. So I was like, if you're going to be a player, you need to go and dominate that. You need to be the main man every single week. But see, when we went to Livingston, he showed he could run. He was running with the ball. He was running by players in the SPL. He was strong. He just went again. He can go to that level. Done it at Partick Thistle that night. They had 2 big games where you're like, we need our main players, and he has been my main player. When you look at Falkirk, he was out for 2 months, for maybe even longer than that, and then came back and ran the game. That shows you how much a good player he is, and he's still young. Like, if you put him in a midfield with a guy like Stephen Simmons, it's a different ball game. But I would say Regan, definitely. In the front 3, obviously I've got to put myself in. That's just because I wouldn't be happy sitting on the bench. But I would have put Louis Vaughan in. But I've only played with Louis. I can remember one game starting with him in my second spell here, and I was on the bench at Forfar, and he never played against Airdrie the week before because he was injured, and then obviously he got another injury, so it wouldn't be fair putting Louis in just for a couple of games. Big Brian, my big mate, just he's a winner, he's a great boy, and I know him at a personal level as well, and we've been on holiday for years together, and I'm sure as soon as the flights open up, the big man he'll be coming to see us, and then when I come back, he's my mate. But he's a good player. If he wasn't a good player, he wouldn't be my mate. But
so that's your 1 to 10. Who gets the fabled 11th spot and your final strike partner?
Big Taddy. Guy's a character, and we just worked complete. I remember there was a goal down at Queen of the South. It was the second game of the season after we beat Partick Thistle. I've got a memory like an elephant with things like this. I mean, the gaffer used to do a passing drill. It was like 18 yard box to 18 yard box, and it was a striker coming short, midfielder spinning, and it just worked that day. The full passing drill happened, and I got a tap in. And people think Taj would just run about for the sake of running about, but he doesn't. He actually he makes the runs that the manager's telling him. He just looks like a big daft runner, but he's a better player than what people actually make it.
You mentioned Vonnie already, but who else would you be looking to bring into your bench?
Grant Anderson. Big Grant, his assists was ridiculous. I think this wasn't even the year I played, it was the year Brian played. Brian scored 27 goals and Grant had 14 assists. 27 goals and then he had 14 assists. That's again, he's not a fashionable player that when you look at that wee Louis, brilliant feet, Regan feet and all that. But Grant, he's effective, gets you out of the park, you're under pressure, gets you out of the park. Then the assists as a striker. I scored with 9 the period I played with him, and I would say he was about more than half, the easy 5 assists.
Any other notable additions for the memory there?
Dougie Hull and Craig Wilson. What was it? Craig. He gets shit. That was, see, big Dougie with his injuries, definitely. That was disappointing for him. But Dougie's ended up. The problem with Dougie was he had such a good job outside. He can make sure right for you, Bob. The full-time football at the level he was at was no. It wasn't worth his while doing it. That's what ended up with Dougie. Or he could have definitely gone on and playing at a higher level. And then obviously Wolves, where the year we nearly won the league, because we never in the budget. It was to get absolute hammered because Dunfermline were coming out of the league. We lost 11 players. and there was about 6 or 7 of them starters, and he ended up part-time and then out the game in 2 years. But I do believe, but if he went to SPL, he would have been playing in the SPL. But it was just because of the actual disappointment of what's happened, that much affecting people. And actually probably, alright, we never go to win the league, but there was a lot of boys lost. Simmy never got near the level he would have been playing in the Premier League. There's like, you're talking about 45 minutes of a game, and people are dead to it, and people are out the game after it. It's sad.
Absolutely, and it kind of mirrors a wee bit of where we're at with people on furlough, etc. just now. What about the next chapter? Your family are patiently waiting. The kids have been running about in the pitch. I'm quite impressed with your lad's left foot.
He's no bad. He's actually alright.
What does it look like, life in Australia for you?
Scary, bit daunting, but exciting. It's gotten to believing, because I spoke to the manager about 10 days ago and the chairman, and they wanted me to stay on, and I looked at the possibility. I looked, actually saying to the wife, I never told her, because that would have just, with our container booked for yesterday, so I had to just flung it. I was like, right, my visa just couldn't get extended because we were able to get in. Sorry, what was your question there?
It's life in Australia. What's the plans? So you've done an adult apprenticeship. I'm gutted, I have to say, with this lockdown, because I was going to get you up to do the bathroom, but it's kept me busy.
I've had an adult apprenticeship. It's been brilliant. Really,
I've really enjoyed it.
I've something different. It's got me away from football. I think that's sometimes you need in your career. When I was coming back down Inverness, I wasn't enjoying it. I wasn't enjoying the dressing room and stuff for the manager I was under, and I was like, I need to get myself sorted. I think that's what the problem was. You're 31 year old, where am I going? Football can't go anywhere now. So I was like, adult apprenticeship, so I've got that for going over to Australia. I've got involved with a franchise called Sports Star Academy, which I'm going to be running one of their academies, which I'm massively looking forward to, involved in football. Hopefully the painting can take secondary then, and I've agreed to sign with a team called Mandurah City. It's just a semi-pro team, but it keeps me playing, and they're quite, it's down as semi-pro, but they're obviously quite professional, and I'm hoping I can play it. I'm about 40. That's the plan.
John, your family are waiting on you. You've been, as always, very generous with your time. So firstly, I think on behalf of RaithTV, it's my job just to thank you for all your help that you've given us over, a decade and a bit. We've always enjoyed your contact. We wish you and your family the best of luck. We know that we'll be in touch with you. You've still got the login for RaithTV on your phone somewhere there. I've not changed the password yet.
I know, I was shouting at players and I didn't even know who they were. Louis Allen was getting it. Granty was getting it. He would get text messages. What are you doing?
What you have the final word. What do you want to say in the camera?
I'd just like to thank everybody that I've been involved with at the club, right through for the tea lady, Simon. Obviously condolences for Simon with his old man. His old man was an absolute gentleman. Firstly, I would like to thank Smudger John McGlynn for bringing me to the club 10 years ago. And I was lucky enough that Tumble, God rest him, didn't take the huff from me after I was saying I was about to leave the first time, and they let me come back for the second time. We obviously squared everything up, and it's just been, I'm a lucky boy. Since I left school I've been able to play football, which regardless of what level it is, I've no work to do in my life to have my apprenticeship, and this club's gave me the best memories that I've had in a football club. I had a short spell at Falkirk, was quite successful as well, but for the full package with my family and everything, I just can't thank the place enough, to be honest. And it was always somewhere that I know when I come back, if we're settled and all that, it'll be one of the places I'll come.